Clear as a bell.
All right.
I don't know, babe, you're gonna have to wait.
Lieutenant, are we expecting Commissioner Diaz this evening?
I don't know if you'll click on that. See where they're at? No. On the little red microphone. The microphone. No talk. Okay, I don't know. This says mute. Can you please stop it again?
Everything recorded.
Mhm.
Hi, Commissioners.
I'm
Evening.
sorry, Commissioner Roach. Did you, you may not have heard, I was on mute. I apologize.
Yep.
I have not heard from Commissioner Diaz or Williams.
Commissioner Williams gave me a buzz maybe about 20 minutes ago and said she'd be running a little bit late. So I'm sure she'll be joining us.
We do have a quorum if you'd like to proceed.
Yes, that would be great. Okay. We'll call this regular board meeting of the Honorable Board of Police Commissioners to order, and we'll have roll call of commissioners. Cruz,
Here.
Lyons, Farrow.
Here.
Cuminato.
Can you turn it up? Maybe it's not.
We have a
Oh, no.
we have a quorum.
I don't know why you're not getting it.
This time, please observe a moment of silence for
Oh, dear.
retired officer Dino Bartonelli, who passed away on Sunday, November 14th of this year. Thank you.
I don't know.
Next item would be the acceptance of the minutes of the
the.
regular board meeting, which was held on November 16th. Any additions, omissions, questions? If not, entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
What did it say?
So
Keep
moved.
moving that thing around.
It's been moved by Commissioner Cruz. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Farrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. On to reports. Chief of Police, good evening, Chief. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update on some of the things we had touched base on last month. We are still moving forward with our Operation Wingspan or our Wingspan initiative, which was the initiative that we discussed last month, combating car thefts and things of that nature, some of the violent crimes that have taken place. Just last week, that initiative was able to retrieve, I believe it was approximately 5 firearms off the street, do a couple of recoveries. They were instrumental in capturing a homicide suspect. So the initiative is actually going very, very well. It's actually coming to a conclusion very soon, as we have expended the grant monies that were provided for that initiative. We are looking to start.
Are you receiving me?
We are looking to starting our recruit class hopefully next week. It may be a small class, but it's a class that we want to make sure that they hit the ground running, and then we can start recruitment processes again once they have exhausted all avenues on the current list that we have, which is down to very low numbers. Also, we did have a issue and currently are still experiencing a matter with Kronos, where we are doing everything manually as we did prior to doing everything electronically on our rosters, people that are working, replacements, time off. But the supervisors have been excellent in able to bring things up to speed. And Kronos has not been able to identify when they will be up and running again. They are actively working on the issue that occurred with them. This week on Thursday, we are planning on conducting a lieutenant's promotional ceremony and several awardees as well, if it's approved by the board this evening. For the awardees, we will be, we're figuring out the logistics right now. Unfortunately, with the uptick in COVID, we want to make sure that everybody comes and is safe, and that we are able to socially distance families and relatives so that they will be able to enjoy the promotion of their loved ones and the ceremony. If you like, I can notify you all if you are interested in attending. It looks like it will be this Thursday, and I will let you all know the time and location. We are looking forward to the DC2 training that we will be having in January. I know that Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Diaz have asked to be attendees. I think it's going to be a very positive training, not only for members of our department, but members of our board, our community, to see what we can move forward with. I know that we have discussed in the past the simulator that we were getting into the training academy. I'm pleased to say that the Milo simulator, which is the multiple interactive learning objective simulator, and it's a hands-on. We've already started training our officers. If anybody is interested, it will allow you to experience some of the stressors that officers experience when they arrive on scenes volatile in nature. You will be exposed to shoot scenarios. Obviously, we want to keep it limited, but we do have it in our academy, and we were able to obtain that on a grant. And we will be utilizing that for training with our next upcoming academy class. Also, we have expanded our training for our use of force training. That's a mandate. The Bridgeport PD has hit the ground running on that mandatory training. We're also keeping the updates on our regular certification training, but also equipment training. So that has been very positive. And like I said, we want to continue to move our department forward. We've already started our next tier for our accreditation, which has gone very well. And we have also started discussions and even policy discussions on a potential social work initiative in collaboration with the police department. So I have to tell you that I know there's a lot that goes out in the media, but I'm here to share some of the very positive of what the members of the Bridgeport Police Department have been doing, have been engaging. I will tell you that we have also added on, for example, I have a detail this weekend, since it's the holiday season. We have added on extra patrols in areas that we have been able to determine or consider hotspots. In other words, there's more activity and reported criminal activity in these areas. So have increased our patrols in several areas. And we're looking forward to the transition into the new year. I will tell you, like I said, we've been very successful in certain areas can get better in other areas, but that's what we're working towards. On this Thursday, we're tomorrow and Thursday, we're also I will be a part of a awards ceremony for our youth. It's part of the FedUp program, which is a federal program that has gone out and reached out to youth at the schools, at the local schools, try to have them come up with different areas and interests in expressing themselves via essays for combating gun violence. So there was one tomorrow at Barnum School. We have a young lady that won the contest. She will be winning a $100 gift card. And then we have a secondary on Thursday where we have 4 students that will be getting gift cards as well. And it's just a breath of fresh air to see our youth engaging and talking about their feelings and how they feel they can assist us in combating crime. And I think it's just the first steps. I had said last month that one of the things that I want to do is really to start focusing on the youth in the city of Bridgeport to try to do some intervention and to be able to help them along. We also had our first juvenile outreach with our juvenile probation, which was very successful. We had 7 juveniles that were on probation from the west side of Bridgeport. We sat down, talked with them through Project Longevity, through my office, through probations. We had a nurse there. We did a really good presentation, opened good dialogue with youth as young as 14. So this is one of the areas that we want to embrace in 2022 to help our youth maybe create some interventions so that they can, number one, trust us, build relationships with us, and number 2, have a source to go to when they may have questions. We had our SROs present as well, so they were very widely embraced. On that note, I don't think I have anything else. Well, I do want to follow up on our discussion to see if a decision was made, but obviously that will have to be an executive session. But if anybody has any questions, I'm open to any questions at this time.
Any questions for the chief? Commissioner Cruz?
Chief Garcia, thank you for that report.
Question.
You mentioned several initiatives. I'm just wondering, are they all, do they all stem from the same grant?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry, I lost you on the screen. Are you still with us?
I know it's my time, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
know it's
still
my
with
time,
you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was having a hard time hearing you. But no, they're not all from the same grant. The Wingspan grant, which is to combat auto theft and gun violence, that is through a COVID relief grant offered to us through the state. That grant, we were the hub of the grant. We were afforded $195,000, and it was a collaborative effort with the towns of Fairfield, Trumbull, Stratford, Monroe, Newtown, and Westport. And each chief that we've sat down at the table, and they cannot have said better things on the impact that it's having in their communities as well. So that's one grant. We had the initiative with the Park City communities, which means that we have officers walking and talking and dialoguing with members of our communities in our housing communities, specifically P.T. Barnum, Green Homes, and Trumbull Avenue. And that has gone very well. We're going back to the grassroots where we're getting out the cars, talking to the children, interacting with the children, even sit down and having, a snack with them, which I think is very positive. So that was a secondary grant. The federal program is through our initiative with Project Longevity. And the outreach, the juvenile outreach has been an initiative through the PD within itself. Oh, and I'm also very glad to say that we received our NIBIN machine, which is the National Integrated Ballistic Testing We did receive that. That was on a grant. We received it this week and we're waiting for them to come and officially install it, which will be a fantastic tool for our detective bureau, which is the shell casings that we find at a scene, at a homicide scene or a shots fired scene, can actually be put into a system to test to see if that firearm was discharged at any other location, believe it or not, in the nation. So there are many different grants, ma'am, that we've been able to take advantage of. And I'm proud to say that we've made it work.
Okay. That reminds me of another question. What can you tell me about the spot shotter system that you
spotter?
have in? What is it called?
Shot spotter?
Yeah, shot spotter. Has that been successful? I mean, I understand it kind of alerts where the shots came from.
Ma'am, I believe that Shot Spotter is a phenomenal tool. And you know what? The reality is that when we didn't have Shot Spotter, we didn't actually know how many shots were being fired throughout the city. Now, Shot Spotter, as of right now, is within a certain distance within the city. Eventually, we'd like to have 100% covered, right? But it is certain distances, square footage in the city. And what I can tell you is, instead of someone calling into our dispatching center and saying, hey, there are shots fired at this location, ShotSpotter picks it up and it sends it to the officer's phone. All of us, we hear it all at the same time. It'll tell you the location, is able to tell you how many shots were fired. And you can zoom in on where the location is. So I will tell you that ShotSpotter has been, though it, like I said, is a very real program. So whereas we will see that there have been an increase in shots fired in the city, but before we used to depend on somebody calling in, and we know that didn't always happen. So I think that ShotSpotter is a very effective tool. It gives us an idea of where we should concentrate on, what locations, what areas. Officers know there's no longer a wait time where officers have to be dispatched to a call, because an officer, we all get it at the same time, and the officer will automatically go. They'll pick up the radio and say, I'm responding to this ShotSpotter activation. So I do believe that it is an amazing tool for the department and for the community, to tell you the truth.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Farrell, did you have a question?
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Just a couple of questions. I know we have the use of force training coming up, Chief, and you mentioned another training that Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Diaz wanted to participate in. I didn't catch what that was.
It's called DC2. I introduced it, I believe it was back in October, if I'm not mistaken, where it's called DC2 is dedication to community. And we have Mr. Quentin Williams coming in. This class is being offered through POST, hosted by the Bridgeport Police Department. And it's Mr. Williams guarantees that he knows the recipe and he knows the resources and what it takes to build relationships between police departments and the community. So they asked that we have a certain amount of attendees, and not only for Bridgeport, and I have had other towns say that they are interested in sending members of their department as well as members of the community. And it's really opening dialogue and really getting to understand each other and starting to build the bridges that need to be built between the police departments and the PD nationwide. So we do have a limited amount of seats, and the two commissioners that you mentioned had asked if they can be in attendance.
Well, if it's possible for me to also be in attendance, when is the event supposed to take place, or the training?
I believe it's January 22nd. Let me see how many more seats they're going to allow me. But yes, I will definitely do my best to get you into the class, sir. And if there's anyone in the community that we would like to see, anybody in the community that is interested in building relationships or even getting to understand one another, right? Getting to understand police aspects of things as well as community and how we can engage and start the relationships or start the dialogue. Please, by all means, let me know. But like I said, there are a limited amount of seats, but I will definitely see where we are with the current list, Commissioner Farrell, and I will definitely get back to you. And I believe, I don't know if I said it, but I think it's January 22nd.
You did.
Okay.
And then another question, and I was having a dialogue with an officer not too long ago, and he brought up some very interesting stuff. Very, I guess it was a sobering conversation. He was very honest. He wasn't defensive on the police side. He wasn't, he was just honest. It wasn't this very biased talk. And he brought up something that I thought was interesting, and I thought I'd present to you and Commissioner Roach and the rest of the commissioners. He was talking about the possibility of, say, the commissioners observing or participating, not like hands-on, in the use of force training and other types of training, or at least being able to observe, so that we as civilians have a better understanding of what the officers are actually learning in those trainings. So that when because ultimately, in certain instances, at least, we end up having to make decisions about the, officers' behavior or for disciplinary reasons. So I was just wondering if you had anything to say about that, thoughts about what I just suggested.
Well, I think that in the past, I've talked about having some cross training. I think it's a good thing. I think it's important. I mean, all of our training is vetted through post. We have certified trainers at the academy, but I think that would be a great thing. That's why I have also opened up the possibility of one or two of you coming in and trying our simulator and seeing the kind of stressors that officers go through during some live experiences with during their course of their day. But yeah, I mean, I think there are specific classes that would be a benefit for the commissioners to attend. Now the question is the timing, whether it's going to be during the day or during the evening. It would be, how about if we do this? How about if you all send me a list of potential classes that you would like to participate in, and we can do that, and we can, pardon me, we can make sure that we get one of those training sessions or two of those training sessions in place. I think it's important to know how the officers, what the standards are, right? Because we're held to a standard through post and through our oath that we take, along with a bunch of changes that have happened throughout the couple of past years with the police accountability. And I think that would be a good thing to see what the officers are mandated in training, and maybe even some of the extra classes that they take for certification purposes. But if you want to send me a list, if one of you can send me a list of maybe some of the classes that you are interested in, I think that would be great. And then we can have a Q&A at the end of the class where you have the commissioners can ask questions to the officers that are in attendance. And I think that would be a great way to open dialogue as well.
So essentially, you said, I have no clue. I mean, what, classes you necessarily have, but if you have a schedule or you have a list of classes for us to actually look at and consider, and I'm not suggesting that you need to change the classes or move the classes around to a particular time to us, but to the extent that we have some flexibility and ability to go in and observe, if nothing else, even on our own time, then that will be helpful, I think, to some of the commissioners. Commissioner
Lieutenant O'Donnell, if you could forward the commissioners that schedule, that would be appreciated.
How about if you all give me an idea, or the lieutenant an idea, for example, some of the classes that you're interested in. So for example, we have diversity classes, we have use of force, things of that nature. And in understanding that not all of our instructors are from our department. So the instructors may have certain limitations or specifications on attendees within their class. But like I said, we're definitely open to that.
And what time
Any
is
other-
what
I'm
Go
time
ahead,
is
Commissioner.
promotion for the lieutenant on
We're
Thursday, you said?
we're looking at 3 o'clock. We're gonna confirm everything tomorrow. So
3
we can,
o'clock at your office?
no, it won't be in my office because we're promoting 8. So to allow the officers to bring their families, we're looking for an off-site location, but I will send you an email if you all are interested. I will send you an email tomorrow and let you know the definitive time and place.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Anything else for the chief?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
you too. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
record, Commissioner Diaz and Commissioner Williams have joined us.
Danny,
Commissioners,
Commissioner?
yes, Maddie.
I'm on with the phone on. That's the only way I got you. So I'm on. I've been here since the beginning.
Okay, no, we've seen you. And in
Okay.
some instances heard you, but you're coming in loud and clear, Maddie.
Okay, thank you.
If the commissioners are okay with it, I'd like to skip over the agenda. We have a member of the city council here, Rosalina Christie, on a traffic matter. I believe, Rose, are you still with us?
Yes, Commissioner, I am with you.
Okay. I would ask the commissioners to first go to item under 9A, Roman numeral 8. It's the installation of a stop ahead sign at Reservoir Avenue and Yarmouth Drive and City View Avenue. Now, this is what's been recommended by the city traffic engineer after his recommendation to deny the original request, which is located under 9B, Roman numeral 6. You'll find the installation of a LED stop sign at Reservoir Avenue and Yarmouth Drive and City Avenue. That's the original request from the councilwoman here. I did speak with the city traffic engineer on this matter. His explanation for recommending denial was, I believe, one, the costs are relatively expensive to install the LED lights around the stop signs. And he expressed concern that if this was approved, we would have more and more requests, and then eventually a regular stop sign would not receive the proper attention. He was talking along those lines, but I'm aware of Reservoir Avenue and Yarmouth Drive is there's been some traffic and issues there, along with other issues that we've been trying to address. So I'm going to turn it over to Rose Christie to kind of explain where this came from on her end, and then we can take it from there.
Good evening,
Rose, if you don't mind.
Commissioners. Good evening. Yes, I was approached by several of my constituents regarding this intersection. This has been in the past a troublesome intersection where there's traffic constantly going up and down the street. Most of them have failed. Some of them have failed to even make a complete stop. There have been several numerous accidents at this intersection. especially at nighttime. And we believe, and I also believe, speaking for my constituents, that we should have an LED stop sign there at least to make it more alert and aware of the traffic, the drivers that, obey the sign, stop, because of the incidents that have occurred in that section. And for instance, not about maybe before COVID, the doctor at the corner who has the health center, he even submitted to your commission at one time about the numerous accidents that have occurred in that section. So I am requesting on behalf of my constituents and myself that you reconsider our position and try and approve the installation of an LED stop sign at the corner of Reservoir, Yarmouth, and City View.
Rose, this
Thank
would
you.
be on Reservoir, and I apologize. I know we talked about this earlier, but this is it northbound or southbound that you were looking for?
Southbound. It will be on the southbound, located at
Southbound Reservoir, okay.
right by the farm.
Commissioners, any questions?
Danny, is that going up Reservoir Avenue, coming
No, that
Away
would be
from-
coming
away
down from
from-
Trumble Gardens. And
away from Trumbull Gardens?
Yes,
not
southbound
towards?
direction, yes.
All right. And they would only need the one sign, not the, because it sounds like it's 3 streets that intertwine.
Well, it's a 4-way intersection, but
All right.
But we'd be happy just to get one sign up at least.
yeah, we talked about that. Does any of the other commissioners have any questions?
Am I wrong in thinking that the only other one that's in the city is the one over by, down on past Tony Huntington Inn
Yeah.
on Broadbridge? Or
Broadbridge, yep,
is that the only other one?
I think you're right.
And that's really dark over there. How's the lighting? I can't remember the lighting at night on Reservoir.
Reservoir is pretty dark. I mean, especially if you're coming from
Up.
from the City View Avenue side, it's fairly dark.
Okay.
I myself have had incidences where I almost got hit, God forbid, I almost got hit because a car just came right through and missed me just by quite a few feet.
If I'm not mistaken, that's kind of a tricky hill too. It's like you're coming up a hill, so if you're turning on a right, they may not even see you if they don't get to the stop sign. So I get it.
That is correct, Commissioner.
I'd be inclined to agree, but
I would agree too, Commissioner.
okay.
And not to, hopefully we don't fall into a situation where, the requests become out of hand, but I think this is one
merit.
spot that warrants it.
I agree.
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes, there is another LED stop sign. It's on Anton Street, on the St. Andrew's Church, another high traffic area, especially with church services. This Reservoir area, this is the corner where we reverse the one-way street because of the traffic. It is very busy as I do work in the upper north end. It's very steadily traveled. The installation of just one stop sign, I don't feel is too much of a stretch. I think
agree.
Going forward, we really have to determine which merits heavy traffic, and this would be one of the busier streets in the city, especially in the north end. I would be in favor of the installation and granting that in that spot.
Okay.
Any other comments? Commissioner Farrell?
Yeah, I just had questions because I think we brought this up before, and I was trying to remember why it is they were resistant to doing it, and I didn't know if it was because running wires. I didn't know what the reservation was, but I remember about this before. I don't know if it was this specific situation or another situation. This is not the first time this LED thing came up. And then the question is, I guess going forward, are we prepared to start putting these things out? Because I mean, once you open that door, you got to get ready. And
Well,
so
that's why I wanted to mention that, and I understand where the city traffic engineer was coming from, and his fear that the standard stop signs won't be paid attention to as much as they should, and I kind of get all that, but this particular spot, I think, warrants it, to be quite honest, and we just as a group we need to guard against a wave of requests on these if that ends up taking place.
well, I guess, and that's what the other part of it is. Obviously, the money's going to come from you, Commissioner Christie, I guess, ultimately, right? So that's where.
Well, I've done my best to make sure that, funds have been allocated to the proper departments, one being public facilities and the other one being to the police department. So.
Well said.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
That part of Bridgeport.
Like to entertain a motion regarding 9B6, the installation of an LED stop sign at Reservoir Avenue. The request is the city engineer's office is not to approve. I would look for a motion to deny that request and approve the installation of the LED stop sign.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. The motion has been.
Thank you so much,
passed.
Commissioners.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Happy
and have a good
holidays.
weekend.
Thank you,
Happy
Rose.
holidays.
Welcome. Happy holidays.
Thanks to you.
Okay. Getting back, I haven't seen anybody from the union here. Is that correct? Do we have anybody from the union?
I don't believe so. I was
Okay.
not notified if the union would attend or not.
Is there anyone from internal affairs?
I did receive a report from Sergeant Webb, and I forwarded that to you yesterday, so it should be in your mailboxes.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report on the status of pending matters. We have an update on the Bureau's hearings.
And Commissioners, just before I do my brief report, I am having a lot of technical difficulties. I keep going in and out. I have contacted the IT sergeant, so if you do lose me, I will be back on momentarily. It just seems to be a connection problem in my office tonight. So yes, just to remind you, we have 2 Bureau's hearings, January 11th and January 13th. I would like to also plan a Plan B financial update meeting. We haven't had one in over a year, and this would be with UBS and Mike Brewy. He's going to be getting back to me on some dates in late January and February, but I told him to keep in mind that the meeting has to be on a Tuesday or a Thursday night. That will do via, a Zoom environment. And then lastly, I did send you an addendum later on this afternoon regarding a last minute request from the traffic engineer regarding amphitheater metal signs, which is a request from the Office of OPED, of Economic Development. So that will be at 9A item X for your review. And that's all I have, Commissioners.
Okay, we'll move on to special reports. I'm sorry, excuse me. We'll move on to new business. A request from Lieutenant Cotto to address the board regarding the review and approval of policy and procedure general order 4.06, drug and alcohol testing, and 2.10, fiscal management. Lieutenant Cotto.
Good evening, Commissioners. Happy holidays.
You
Before we begin, I do have a question, and it was regarding policy 2.01. That was the policy that you went into executive session with the chief, and it was supposed to be tabled. I'm just asking, are we prepared to make a decision on that, or are we going to continue tabling it? I think there was supposed to be some consultation with the city attorney. That's all I know.
Yeah, you're right. Chief, do you have any comment on that? Before we possibly move the table?
No, I guess the only thing I was interested in knowing if that was going to be addressed as well. I believe that there was conversation with the city attorneys. I just wasn't sure if a conclusion had been reached.
I don't think we're there yet.
Okay. All right. On that note, I will log off. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay. Commissioner Roach, do you want me to do the policies first? I also have 2 requests for department awards.
Let's stay in order. We can do the policy and then the awards, I take it. Okay.
Okay, I'll do the easy one first.
Yep.
The drug and alcohol testing policy 4.06. The reason why this policy was changed, there was some back and forth discussion at the labor board, and the city and the union came to an agreement to change the language regarding notifications on preliminary positive test and positive test resulting in marijuana. So if you go to page number 8, number 3, if your copies are in color, they should be highlighted. That is the language verbatim of which the city and the union came to an agreement with regarding the notifications. That is the only change in this policy.
Commissioners, any questions?
Commissioner Roach, if there's no question, do you want me to go on to 2.10 or do you want to vote on this one?
Yeah, you might as well. We'll vote them both together.
So policy 2.10, earlier you heard the chief say that we just went through tier 2. We're in the process of tier 2 accreditation, which is the next step in line. I had the OC assessment, which means that there's police managers from other agencies. They come down, they look at our files, and they see if everything's in order to be sent up to post for a formal assessment. We did find one error policies. It was an oversight, and the language is actually on page 6. It has to do with department inventory. I read it as being a property room inventory, but it's actually an across the board department on large scale equipment. So I added that in at the end under section R. I already have the reports on everything. Once the policy's all set, we'll be ready to go for tier 2 assessment with posts in February.
Very good. Any questions for the lieutenant? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the request of 4.06 and 1-0, those items that were just covered.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Motion's passed. Next item would be, okay, I'm sorry, go right ahead, Lieutenant Cotto.
Thank you. I have one question. Is there a way to find out before the next meeting if we're going to be addressing policy 2.01? I just didn't want to ask in the January, February, and it ends up in the February meeting. I don't know if there's like a halfway point.
There's, we do have the commission will be getting together January 11th and 13th for Barrows hearings. If it's there's always a possibility. If it's a short meeting, we can have a special meeting on one of those nights before we have our Barrows meeting.
Okay. The reason why February is almost around the corner, and that's when we'll be going for our formal assessment with
Okay.
both.
Okay. Lieutenant O'Donnell, are you with us right now? I know you've been working on an issue there. No? Okay.
If I may say, Commissioner Roach, we agreed that you and Commissioner Farrell and myself were going to speak to the city attorney, and I didn't hear from you or anyone regarding that matter, so I just thought it was probably taken care of or discussed.
I know we initiated discussions, but quite honestly, it fell by the wayside. So we need to get rolling with that again. Commissioner Farrell, you still on board for that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. A phone call tomorrow?
That's fine.
All right. Okay. So with any kind of luck, if things if things settle in right, we'll we can move on January 11th, January 13th. What's a special meeting, Lieutenant? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Meanwhile, we have a request from Lieutenant Cotto to address the board regarding review and approval of 2 departmental awards. Are you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So beginning in order is the April 19th, 2020. This is for Officer Douglas Bepko. Officer Bepko's been here for over 20 years. He was working a road job and he was on his way home. Cruz, this goes right down your asking about ShotSpotter. And on his way home, Officer Bepko got a ShotSpotter notification on his cell phone. He had just completed working his road job. He was on his way in, and he was in the area where this ShotSpotter notification came in. He drove right to the location, and he saw the guy standing there. I guess you can call it a smoking pistol, no pun intended. But then with the help of a couple other officers, they were able to catch the suspect after immediately firing a firearm. So Officer Bepko is being nominated for an Excellent Arrest Award. The second one is this is for Officer Solar, Officer Shimshak, who's now Detective Shimshak, and Officer Bentini. So some information about a suspicious party. The 3 officers approached. Officer Solar was the contact officer, and the guy began running. A pursuit ensued, and the 3 guys were able to take back custody. It was later determined that this guy was a fugitive from justice from North Carolina, New York, and Virginia. This guy was on for a long time. They did a phenomenal job working together as teamwork. two new guys kind of went in immediately, and then the veteran officer knew the location where the guy was going to run. He drove there with his car, and they were able to take the suspect into custody without any injuries, use of force. So these three are also being nominated for Excellent Arrest Award.
Going back to the first item,
Yes.
or is it just Officer Bepko that's being considered, or Officer Raj and Jack Sierra as well?
No, so, through the awards committee, we realized that, other officers were there and they were probably instrumental, but it was all Officer Bepko.
Bepko who stood out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions?
No, great job.
Anybody
Awesome.
care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion
Is that
that
a,
these officers, 1, 2, 3, 4, be awarded.
A second.
okay, there's a motion to approve. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, very good. Lieutenant Cottle, anything else?
No, just a big thank you. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Same
Thank
to
you, you
you.
as well.
Thank you.
Okay. We have nothing under old business or correspondence. We do have a letter of appreciation. It's actually an email, went to the chief. This is on behalf of Officer Michael Falbo regarding his assistance in a recent parking violations matter. We have nothing under widow's pension. Under 9A, there's a request from the city traffic engineer to approve the following items. You'll note that 9A, Roman numeral 8, will not apply. So I would request a motion to combine the remaining items under 9A, motion to combine and approve those items.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Aye.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Kumanato. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, those items have been approved with the exception of Roman numeral 8. Moving down to the 9B, request of the city traffic engineer not to approve the following traffic requests. First one is the installation of handicap parking sign of 190 Cottage. We tabled this at the last meeting, and I don't have paperwork in front of me. If I remember correctly, it wasn't very clear if the driveway belonged to 190 Cottage or not. It's a very narrow driveway on the side of the house. Other than that, not having the paperwork in front of me, I don't recall what the issue may have been and the reason that it may have been tabled. Does any of the commissioners recall that discussion at all, Lieutenant? If you're back with us,
Yes, I am. Commissioners, I
Okay.
apologize again. I did miss 9A. I'd respectfully ask you after this discussion to go back just for the approval. I believe there was just questions on, regarding the driveway, and it was just asked a table to look into it further. I did provide everyone in their packet, the original recommendation, and then the original request from Ms.
I may have missed that then.
And again, commissioners, I apologize. I am back. I don't know what you were able to pick up from me or not.
Yeah, we can back it up and go. I think the requests for the awards were approved, and we went on to 9A. Those items under 9A, with the exception of Roman numeral 8, were approved as well. No action was necessary for 9A. 9A8, excuse me. Is there anything else we missed? We may have missed, Lieutenant?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Just, can I have the approvals on the commissioners for 1 through,
Yeah, we combined, and I believe it was Commissioner Diaz and seconded by Commissioner Cuminato.
thank you. Yep. If I may, we also have addendum item 9A10 that was
Yep.
forwarded to you, and you should be in your,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We should get to that before 9B.
yeah.
That's the request from the Economic Development Office, following up on the amphitheater directional signage that was requested by them. It's a total of 17 locations, and you'll see the list. They've also provided a map or whatever, just in different areas within a radius of the amphitheater. And it's a question of the existing signs, I think, are being used to tack on the amphitheater directional sign. So
Actually, Powell recommended that they be original standing signs, and that these signs would be maintained or through the amphitheater. So there was a slight change
okay,
regarding putting these signs onto existing signs. That's not allowed under MUTCD guidelines. So to have directional signs, they have to be freestanding or on their own.
so is there a motion to approve as amended based on the conditions the lieutenant just gave us?
No question. And you said the cost of this is, or they're going to maintain?
Yep, the cost would be through the amphitheater, ma'am. And they would also be responsible for maintaining the signs as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Or make the motion.
Been a
I'll
motion
second it.
made
I'll
by Commissioner Williams, seconded by
I'll second.
Commissioner Diaz, to approve based on the conditions, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, sounds like it's passed. All right, we'll go back to 9B. The first item, and I'm sorry, the one that was tabled, I didn't see it in my packet, Lieutenant, but unless, if any of the commissioners are remember what was discussed and have any input or questions. I find myself at a loss, but that being the case, I would request a motion to table.
Okay, so
See if
moved.
we can figure it out. All right. It's been motion to table. Is there a second? Not all, seconded by Commissioner
Second.
Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion to table is passed. Next item is the installation of a handicap sign at 321 Clinton Avenue. The reason for the denial is there is off-street parking available. The house does come with a driveway. It's a single family. And in the application, she gives the reason that her gate is too heavy. I guess the gate from the driveway to the front door is too heavy for her. And so she is looking for a handicap parking sign in front of the house where I guess there's no gate. Any questions, comments?
This is probably geared towards Lieutenant O'Donnell. I'm just wondering, I noticed that in the letter addressed to the recipient or the constituent member addressing the concern, that it is quoted how long it takes for the city engineering department to make that happen, between 2 and 4 months. Are we going to encounter the request is coming before us again because it hasn't been done within that time frame, or is there a follow-up to ensure that these get done in a timely fashion to bring closure?
Yep, so actually this request, if you see on the letter that I wrote on your behalf, November 16th, the request was put in. The recommendation came back within December 10th. So it's well within the 2 to 4 month time frame. I know that the traffic engineer's office does have more staff that's really working hard to get these requests moved through their office much more quickly. The problem is they're trying to, once there's an approval, is to get the sign installed.
Right, then that's what I'm referencing, the installation.
Yeah,
Not
and
necessarily
again,
the response. It's nice to respond, right? But it's the action that follows that.
yeah, and that's clear, strictly in the hands of public facilities.
I guess what I was alluding to was that although it is strictly up to them, when do we know if it was installed so that the constituent is not putting this before us again?
I've asked this several times, but I never get a follow-up, or I don't know when the signs are installed, because there's no communication back to my office so that I could update the commission. I certainly would love to be able to put that mechanism in place with public facilities.
Yeah, I think it's only like open lines of communication to bring closure. We're not faced with similar scenarios.
I agree wholeheartedly, Commissioner.
I mean, I think that once it's done, they're bringing closure in their files. Why not just CC you?
Can I initiate anything on my end on your behalf as far as correspondence to the public facilities director regarding this
Love for
matter?
you to inquire that they do just that.
Okay,
That
yep,
they
I
notify
will.
you.
We'll definitely
it's
put
been
the
done.
request in that we would like some kind of a follow-up or a timeline.
Yes, that would be ideal. Appreciate that. If everyone
Sure.
agrees.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Does anybody disagree with the city traffic engineer's recommendation with regarding 321 Clinton Avenue? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the request of the city traffic engineer for item 9B, Roman numeral 2.
So move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay. Next item is the handicap parking sign request, 327 Willow Street. Same situation where it's a single family residence and there is a driveway. It's a very, the applicant says that her driveway is blocked by neighbors on occasion. I guess it's something that happens frequently, according to what she is saying. If you look at the driveway, it is extremely narrow, 327 Willow Street, and it doesn't even appear that there is a driveway there. So I can see where neighbors or anybody would just park there not thinking that they're blocking a driveway. I don't know if that means, is that something that the board would take into consideration and grant her request, or is it more a situation that folks that are blocking her driveway need to be ticketed and possibly towed?
It looks like they're blocking the garbage pail with garbage pails. I'm reading. It looks like I guess when they leave the house, they're leaving garbage pails in front to block so nobody will park.
Right.
don't
Well,
know.
that could be the case.
And I don't.
I mean, are those the only garbage pails on the street in that shot you got in front of you?
Oh, no. I'm just saying, I'm reading what she says, and I'm reading what she said, and she says neighbor next door and across street, whole street parking with garbage pails, and I'm unable to park on the street near home. Have to park 2 streets over by whatever. But I was just concerned, can they even do that? Can they leave garbage pails to block parking? No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Probably not.
All right.
Whether that's something that's enforced is another question.
Yeah, people do it all the time.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
This is the same scenario as the one on Cottage with that small narrow driveway. It would be the same scenario, but there, I mean, you can look at it and see it, the driveway.
True.
They have, it's sectioned off where you have grass on each side of the driveway. So you can really see it's a driveway.
Okay.
So if someone's parking in front of your driveway, I think they would have to police. It would be a matter of having it towed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I would suggest, if we deny the request, if we could ask the lieutenant to refer this to the car that's in that area.
Sure, that would be green 32.
Thank you.
See if we could get some follow-up action regarding
Yeah.
violations.
Whoever the officer, they could take a look,
Sure,
maybe pay a little attention to it. And if it's a case that this person is having her driveway blocked, that'll be addressed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion to approve the request of the city traffic engineer with this item.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Diaz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Next item is a handicap parking sign at 120 Broadway. Same situation. single family with a driveway. The driveway in this case is shared with the neighbors, but the driveway is certainly wide enough to accommodate cars on both sides. It's not a one-lane driveway that gets clogged or what have you. So I don't see an issue. And Broadway is it's kind of a it's a street that has a lot of cars parked on it. But unless anybody has any questions, that appeared to be the situation, that, you know, she's claiming that sometimes the driveway is taken by her neighbors, but there's plenty of room on both sides of the driveway. Any questions, comments?
I just basically, I'm in agreement not to approve, right? If people, it's first come, first serve. If it's not available.
Well, it's not even a question of first come, first serve. If her driveway is being blocked, or not blocked, but the space is taken, it's from her neighbor. She's claiming that there's no room because her neighbor takes up space. That's a question that needs to be addressed with her neighbor.
Right, it's shared. It's shared.
Yeah, it's a shared driveway, but it's wide enough. It's not a single lane driveway.
Right.
So, you know, so there's no question on it. So if that's a motion to approve the request, would that be motion, Commissioner Cruz?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion's been made to approve the request, which is to approve the city traffic engineer's request, which is to deny the request of the applicant. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Commissioner Diaz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. And last but not least, the fifth item under 9B is the installation of a slow down children sign in the vicinity of Primrose Avenue and Marconi Avenue. Now, the city traffic engineer in this case recommends denial, saying that first off, kids aren't supposed to play in the street. One thing to have that rule or law, and it's another that the kids are going to pay attention to it.
And Commissioner Roach, I believe he's, stating specifically is he does not want to give the parents that false sense of
A false
security.
sense of security. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
said that's in the first paragraph also, but there's a policy was adopted by this board back in 1995, which actually predates my involvement.
And I was find
prohibiting.
anything on that. I was, it's upstairs in archives, but I was unable to.
Right.
We didn't have electronic records back then in 95.
And there's no way that could be dug out, I'm sure. I mean, it's a whole nother issue. I don't know. Any commissioners have any thoughts on not just maybe this request or that particular policy that was adopted by a previous board 26 years ago?
What exactly did the policy reference?
It's saying there's a policy not to install slow children at play signs. Now, I think we do that though. There's slow signs. Maybe they don't say children at play,
Yeah,
but
right, they could be adults at play. So why not just slow down?
well,
That's true.
I don't know, it seems kind of silly. We can recommend a slow sign. as opposed to slow down children or children at play sign. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Is that implying that it's okay for them to play in the streets though?
Well, that's what they're saying. I think that's something that goes without saying, though.
It looks like it's
So
missing that piece,
and
Commissioner.
we're addressing that by just putting up a slow sign. If we say slow children at play, then some, oh, look, they're advocating kids playing in the street, which would be nonsense, but it would give somebody a chance to squawk about it.
I don't know. If it's a cul-de-sac or something, it wouldn't be that much nonsense to have kids playing in the street. I think I grew up playing in the street. We played basketball as a car come and stop.
Yeah,
But I get it. I don't know what the situation itself is, though. If
But there's, I don't even know if those signs exist anymore, to be honest with slow children at play. I think once a slow sign is
I
installed, people get the message.
I agree.
So would we want to install a slow sign at this location? It's a request from one of the council people in the 134th, the one who's not married to council or to Commissioner Lyons.
I'll make it a motion to install a slow.
So
Second it.
the motion, it would be to approve the request of the city traffic engineer not to install a slow down children sign, but in its place, the board is approving a slow sign at that location.
Agreed.
Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the motion made by Commissioner Diaz. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. That item has passed. Any other business in front of this board this evening?
Commissioners, if I may, because of the problems that I was having with going in and out, can we just go back to 9A? And are we combining and approving
Every
one,
item
two,
under
three,
9A with the exception of Roman numeral 8.
8? And we're denying that because we're installing the LED sign.
Yeah, I guess that would be a denial, yes.
Okay,
Or-
and
or
for the LED.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner. Yep. For the LED sign, are we installing one sign or are we installing all
It is
three?
one sign in the southbound
Southbound.
direction.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Ladies and gents, anything else?
Merry Christmas, Happy New
Merry
Year, and
Christmas
Happy
to everybody.
holidays.
Absolutely.
Happy
All right.
holidays. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you,
Merry
guys.
Christmas,
Happy
Lieutenant.
holidays,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
God bless.
Thank